Hello YouTube and welcome back to the 3D Printing Primary School. Today about G34 C bed leveling or C tramming. This is not about the auto version, it's about the mechanical one. I will explain why later. So let's first of all open this. This is my printer. It's open the pane as you can see. I'll just show you a few of the parts so you know as to what I'm talking about and if you can identify it. So over here I have two stop blocks. Just keep that in mind. Two stop blocks that I've printed out and installed. If I talk about the wheel rollers, I'm talking about the ones for the Z-axis. These 6 in total. Behind this extrusion, there are two, in my case, right, C-axis rods and two stepper motors behind them. Well, we all know that your print bed, your hot end, and that's basically all you have to know. So let's start out as to why you would want G34. G34 is used in case, let's say you have a stock printer which has a 1C spindle, right? And it moves up this side of the X carriage over here. Since the other side is not supported at all, like it doesn't have a rod stock, it will lag behind a little bit, so it will stay at the same location, let's say Z0, whilst this is printing the first layer. And if enough distance has been moved, right, only then will this part move up at the same rate as the left side, since the play in the system has first to dissipate basically before it can move up. So you might start out, all nice and leveled with your X carriage. Let's just remove these so we get it here. So you might start out with a perfectly leveled X carriage. Since this left side is moving first and then the right side, it will first, incrementally, I'm just drawing it a bit exaggerated so you can see it better. It will first increase the angle. And if the angle is high enough for the other side to finally go up, so all the play is out, only then will the right side move in a parallel fashion. So the distance is always the same on both sides. However, the distance from top to bottom here will be higher than the other side, since it only moved after, a few or maybe 1 or 2 layers on the left side. So in order to mitigate this, usually people install a dual C-axis, so another one here, so that at the very beginning of the print, your printer X carriage will go up and down at the same rate. However, what will happen is if you disable the steppers or you turn off the printer, right, one side will always sag a little bit, maybe by a millimeter or less. But over time, this sagging, it doesn't really matter if it's like so or like so, will get increased over time, right? So it's not like parallel to your bed anymore. And that's because the steppers do not engage the spindle into the carriage so that it can just freely sag up and down, right? So in order to fix this is you can either level it yourself. What people tend to do is print out two big blocks that you can put below the flat surface on the left and right side, and then these will, since these are both the same length basically, it will mechanically also level your bed. However, you have to install them every single time, remove them every single time. It's kind of a hassle, so I've opted to do it on top with a G34 command, like so. There's also ones that are on the inside that you could use, but I find that they get in the way of, like, if you have a drag scene, etc. So I use for the outer ones. So what these do is, let's say after moving your printer around, dragging it all across the world or something, I don't know, or people sometimes have it in their vans or something to print out quick stuff at their job site or whatever. Is, let's say you have a crooked printer like so, just a bit over exaggerated, but just to show. What it will do is it will move your entire carriage, even if it's not leveled, all the way up after homing, of course. And then at C250, which is your max print height, this side over here will first hit this block, and then this one will hit this block. And then if your printer is properly put together that everything is square basically. Your X carriage will line up with the top extrusion basically, and if everything is also installed in a 90-degree angle, so it's everything is square, then yeah, well, your X carriage will also be square to the frame and in turn to everything else. After you've done that, your carriage is now always the same on the same horizontal plane every single time, since the top extrusion and these ones do not move. You tighten everything up and then that stays permanent basically. So after you've done that, you always are ensured that this is at the same angle. So if you level your bed now, what will happen is every time you just do G34 in the beginning, since this is always the same, your bed will always be level. I personally only level my bed once every half year or so if I move my printer. But other than that, G34 and I'm done. Since I have silicon spacers that don't move basically up and down. So other than nozzle wear, and I have a hardened steel one, you would never have to level your bed again basically. So after G34 you level your bed. Do not do it before, since as the angle changes, obviously it will not be parallel anymore to your bed, right? So after G34 you level your bed. Okay, so there's two options to use G34. You can either use it in your startup command in your slicer. So every time you start to print in G34s and then it starts printing. What I do, however, is if I wake up, I start to print, I manually select G34. It does it once, and then I just do print after print after print, and when the printer is off or the next day, then I do G34 again, since I always watch the first layer of every print. Adding that 1 minute throughout the day is quite annoying for me. So I only do it once or when the printer has been turned off. So it's up to you which one you want. If you only do a few prints or you don't mind waiting, etc., then just use the G34 command through your slicer. So I will now show you how it basically works in a sped up video. So this is my printer again with the two stop blocks on top. I will show you how to do it manually. This is basically the way that I usually do it. I usually start up my printer and then do print after print, so I only need to re-C level basically once every, let's say, day. If you turn off your printer throughout the day and on, it will drop a little bit because the power loss of the steppers. So you would have to redo it. So you can either do it manually and hope you don't forget, or for the convenience, put the G34 in your start G code that I will show in a bit, so that it's done every print. It only takes 30 seconds, to a minute to do it. So you might as well, have it in your start G code. So if you go to your printer and if you have it enabled in your firmware, you go to Motion and Auto C-Align. Okay, so for the next video, I on purpose made my X carriage wonky by just spinning the right stepper motor a few times, and now you will see how it will realign with the top frame. I hope I gave you a little bit of insight as to what G34 is, or Auto Z tramming, or Mechanical Z tramming really. If you wish to install it, you have to enable it in your firmware, download these two outer or inner blocks, and install those basically, and well, Bob's your auntie actually. So please tell me in the comments if you have any other questions, if you want to know about other stuff, so it gives me a little bit of inspiration as to making a video. Or if you tell me I'm an asshole or something, just go ahead. Please leave a like, subscribe, and share it with anyone you'd imagine one would be interested in this or benefit from this. As always, good evening or good afternoon. Until next time. So this is my printer again with the 2 stop locks on top. I will show you how to do it manually. This is basically the way that I usually do it. I usually start up my printer and then do print after print, so I only need to re-C level basically once every, let's say, day. If you turn off your printer throughout the day and on, it will drop a little bit because the power loss of the steppers. So you would have to redo it. So you can either do it manually and hope you don't forget, or for the convenience, put the G34 in your start G code that I will show in a bit, so that it's done every print. It only takes 30 seconds, to a minute to do it. So you might as well, have it in your start G code. So if you go to your printer and if you have it enabled in your firmware, you go to Motion and Auto C-Align. As you can see now, I on purpose de-leveled my X carriage on the gantry. So now it's a little bit like so. I did it by turning the spindle. And let's see what the effect is of aligning. As you can hear, it's binding a little bit.